Councilman Mooney? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, we don't seem to have a case on for you this morning.
The one on Bel Air, that was continued. Or am I wrong?
No, that's correct. That's at the end.
Oh, I apologize. I must have an old agenda. Thank you.
Oh, no, thanks, Liz, for checking. I appreciate it.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yes. Hey Liz, it's 9:30. You can get started.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I will be reading the preamble for you this morning, this August 29th, 2022. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards, commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on our particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on our particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on our particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. You call the roll, please.
Sure. And Madam Chair, we will have no Alana Faith this morning,
Yes.
and I will call the roll from there. Ms. Brown,
Present.
Ms. Holzer,
Present.
Ms. Brett.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And also announce that since we only have 3 members, you are allowed to postpone your case until we have a full complement of board members. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but that's your right to do that. So when we call your case and you want to postpone, just let us know at that time. All right, go ahead, Liz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one postponement this morning. That's calendar number 22-145 regarding 2147 West 20th Street. That's 2153 LLC, proposed to erect a 23 by 40 3-story frame single-family residence in a D12 family district. The appellant needs more time and has requested a postponement at this time.
Okay. What dates do we have?
September 26th, or we can go into October, which would be October 3rd. That's the first Monday.
Yes, let's give them October 3rd.
That's good. Thank you. And that's it for the postponements. And no
All right.
withdrawals this morning.
Great, thank you. I believe I see Councilman Mooney here, so
Yes.
we'll go to his case first. So, Ms. Holzer, we'll start with 22-122.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. We have calendar number 22-122 at 12808 Bel Air Road. Somali Bantu Community Cooperation of Cleveland, Inc., owner, proposes to establish use as community center with an occupancy of 223 persons in a C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as detailed in the agenda and the public record, of which there are, it looks like 7, with a note that a lot consolidation is required. This case was postponed on July 25th at the request of the councilman to allow time for community review. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply I do, state your name and your address, please.
Brian Mooney, BrianMooney, Councilman, Ward 11, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Chad Dasher, ChadDasher, 10313 Lorraine Avenue.
Anna Acklin, ACKLIN, 10803 Magnolia Drive.
Idris Mohammed, 1212808 Bel Air Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44135.
Anyone else for this case? All right, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Oh, it's all right. So this.
Oh, I apologize. I am muted. Sorry about that. In 1929, this property was originally zoned general retail. In 1994, it was changed to local retail business. In our records administration office, we found that in 1975, a permit was issued to erect a retail store and parking lot. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
And Madam Chair, we received a note, actually a phone call just a few minutes ago from Mary that she will not be present this morning. So I'll go ahead and read it if that's all right with you.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and area variances from the parking and driveway regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellants must prove that denying their request will result in an unnecessary hardship, particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without a variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting of the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's going to be the spokesperson for this case?
I can walk through it. This is Anna Acklin.
Okay, Ms. Acklin, go ahead.
Yes, so we've applied for a change of use for this existing building so that the Somali Bantu Community Center could occupy and use the facility. And in that process, the variances that have been brought to our attention that will need to be required mostly is parking with some of the driveway and landscape concerns as well. There are improvements being made currently to the site. I know there's some existing old signage that's being taken down, and there are improvements that the owner is going to try to make. But we would like to, in order to occupy the building and proceed, be granted the variance.
Okay, can you just describe what's going to be going on in this community center? Like, what's the backstory for this?
Oh, sure. At the community center, they provide counseling and services to help with employment or find housing. I know there's group prayer that happens. Idris, if you can probably speak better to this than I can, but it's support for the Somali Bantu refugees that are coming here to Cleveland to get on their feet and establish themselves within the community.
Thanks. And what days and hours will this center be open?
Idris, can you confirm that?
Yes, it will be open between 10 to 4:30, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Like Anna said, our purpose is to support the refugee families who are arriving to United States. And most of the families that we serve do not speak English, cannot help their kids going to school, helping the homework. So we just trying to break and make their life easier. Anything that they need, they can just come and support them any way we can. That's the main issue.
Thank you. And so that 10 a.m. to 4:30, is that every day or on certain days?
It's every day.
Every day. Okay. All right. And Ms. Ackland, can you just briefly go through the variances you need here so we can kind of understand what you're addressing and what you're not?
Sure. So the change of use is the first approval that we would need. Off-street parking, we are not meeting the requirement per zoning. So we will need that variance. We did update the site plan so that we do not have parking within 10 feet of a residential building. The maximum width of driveway being 30 feet and the existing is 120-foot driveway. So that's an existing condition we're asking to be grandfathered in. Let's see, we are adding landscape feature in order to screen any parking from the adjacent residents. And then the driveway must be within 15 feet of a property line. That's also an existing condition in which we're asking for a variance. And when it comes to landscaping to screen at the rear of the lot, that's all undeveloped behind the building. So we're looking for a variance to waive that requirement as well.
And has the lot consolidation gone through, or the paperwork is in, or what's the status on that?
So that we also would like to understand a little bit more about that as a requirement, if that is something that could also be appealed or a variance that could be requested due to limited resources of the community. We could try to pursue those services as maybe a donation, but we're just trying to better understand the requirement of that moving forward.
Yeah, well, we don't grant variances for lot consolidation here. So we'll touch on that in a minute. Mr. Dasher?
Yes. Yeah, we've been working with the Somali Bantu Center since they acquired the building. You know, and here at Westtown, we feel that the variances that they are asking for are realistic, and we support them. I know there's a lot of residential land around here, but it's largely undeveloped. I think with the resources that the organization has and what they're proposing is sufficient for the community.
All right, thank you. Councilman?
Yes, just looking at this picture to give you some context, to the left of it, there's two lots. The one by the further left is a land bank lot, and then a private individual owns a lot just to the left of them, which would be west. There was a plan to build a road here 10, 15, 20 years ago to put housing behind it, and that never happened. So that's why it's undeveloped. And that individual still owns it, and I do know the community center has been trying to reach out to see if they could buy it to maybe have future parking lot expansion. So they can't get the city land bank lot because there's that private lot between it. But that individual owns the property behind and just next to them, and he never did develop it. But that's it. The only thing my input is this has been a vacant eyesore in the neighborhood for a long time. The most recent thing that there was some petroleum company, for a small office for people that own a bunch of gas stations. So anything like this would be good. It's kind of secluded because of the creek, even though it's a community center. Yeah, they're not gonna have wild parties, but residents, the only house is the rental, which would just be east of them to the right. So there's quite a bit of distance. I have talked to neighbors. They're in support of this, the ones I spoke to. There is a plan to address the parking eventually, if they can acquire the land. And my only comment is, I support all the variances, but I do think they need a lot consolidation because they're three separate parcels now, and that just makes it very confusing and cumbersome, that this thing has three different parcels. It probably, I know it's not here, but it probably should be consolidated. That's something that they should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Maurice, are you representing city planning?
I am, Madam Chair. Maurice Rowland, City Planning. So of course, we're looking for variances for a use variance and then some area variances with respect to variances from the number of parking spaces that are proposed and a few others. I think this is a great reuse of this building. I agree with the councilman and Mr. Dasher. You know, this has been an eyesore on Bel Air Road for quite a while, and it's great to see this being reused, and especially for the purposes of Somali immigrants. I think this is great. The only thing I would say is I would like to see or ask if it's possible to get the curb cut reduced to the 30 feet instead of having the 120 foot, basically a continuous curb cut all along the front of the building. And then with that would also, you know, kick in some landscaping and screening, which I think would be a nice upgrade to the parcel. I guess through the chair to the applicant, is that possible?
I hesitate only because I know the community center has very limited resources. I don't know if I can speak for them completely, but my understanding is that major improvements that might involve reworking the conditions on the site and could be problematic or difficult.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Brown?
You know, I view that as an existing condition that with limited resources, I think it's important that they improve the items, condition of the building. I have a question about how many of the persons seeking assistance, many of the people from the community, how will they get to this building? Will they be driving cars or will they come with public transportation? Does the center offer transportation? How will people arrive?
Actually, the reason why we selected this building, most of the Somali communities lives in this area, and some of them are very walking distance. And the newer refugees, we offer them to go and pick it up. And yeah, that's the reason why we selected this building. It's just right across most of the families around here. And making the building look good outside or inside, we are working hard every day to get the funding that to make the parking lot much easier and better. And we have even as an estimate that we call a company that they can come out and do the parking lot. And then there was bushes behind the building, and there was some sign, the again related sign behind the building. We did clean where you guys can see the dumpster, all that. If you come right now, it's very clean. We got a dumpster rented and clean all behind that. It's very nice and neat right now. So, but the in process that we're doing now, you know, trying to collect the fund is to make a little bit nicer the parking lot, and we are working on it.
So, Madam Chair, I was asking about the transportation to figure out and to maybe have a discussion about the number of parking spaces, because that's what's connected to the lot consolidation. Is that not correct, city planning?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, this is Liz.
Yes, Liz.
If Mr. Rollins can show us, there we go. There are 3 parcels here that are involved in the project. You can see that where it says parcel number, I can't read it, but those are clearly 3. So the building is split by one of the parcel lines. And then there is a parking portion that is completely separate from the main building.
And Madam Chair, to Mr. Riccardi, will Building and Housing issue a permit if the parcels are not consolidated?
That was my question too. Yeah.
I mean, I understand the parcel for the parking could potentially be separate, but the 2 parcels that straddle the building, again, that's a Building and Housing question. I'm not sure that they would issue a permit for, I don't even know how that situation arose, to be perfectly honest.
That's right.
They should have been consolidated before they even, before this building was even available for purchase. I know Mr. Riccardi stepped away from his desk for a couple minutes. He said, I don't know if he's back yet.
I am here now. There's always an issue when you have a building with property line through it. Always an issue with fortified walls. And of course, you have the parking. That's a completely separate parcel. I mean, it is possible to have it remain 3 parcels. There would probably be some extra building code requirements, and there would also be a requirement of 3 separate permits. It may seem, complex at first, but going through the lot consolidation process is not difficult. It's just a matter of getting a survey and getting it recorded with the city and then subsequently with the county. There's really only problems when you're trying to split lots, not when you're trying to consolidate them. So the consolidation process would not be hard. It's not required to grant a variance, but it is going to be required before the permit is issued.
Great. Thanks for that, Mr. Riccardi. That's very clear. So we can definitely move forward here. So Maurice, did you have anything else from city planning? We kind of went in a different direction after you started talking.
No, those are all the comments that I had. Again, we're very supportive of this use.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the board? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, after having discussion for calendar 22-122 and support from Councilman Mooney and Westtown CDC, I move approval for the change of use to support counseling services, tutoring, and other services to support the Somali Bantu community, which lives in this part of Bel Air primarily, and to grant variances related to parking and support the 18 spaces that are proposed, to require screening as proposed with the raised planting boxes for the adjacent residents, for screening from the adjacent residents, and to accept existing conditions for the driveway as it exists. And then lastly, subject to lot consolidation, which is required for permitting. And that's my motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second for Ms. Holzer. Go ahead, call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have one concern. The appellant stated that number 3 on the write-up, section 349.05A, is no longer needed due to a change in the plan. Mr. Rollins, is this the most recent plan that you have shown on the screen?
Yes.
Okay,
I
it does
believe
show that they will not be within 10 feet of a wall. As you can see, they're parking up against their building and not next to or near the residential structure. So if you could add that amendment noting that number 3 is not needed any longer.
We will add that friendly amendment to the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-122 is granted conditionally based on the revised drawing. It'll be ratified next week and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good day.
Oh, Madam Chair, if I could state, we do not have a hearing next week. So
That's
it'll be
correct. So
September
it'll be the week after you'll get,
the 12th.
yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Holzer, moving on to 22-144.
All right, so we have calendar number 22-144. This is at 1720-36 Columbus Avenue. Go Life Columbus Oz Project LLC owner proposes to redevelop and establish use of existing 4-story building for 45 apartments and 9,537 square feet space on first floor for retail use in a K4 semi-industry district and an urban form overlay district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as outlined in the agenda and public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Melissa Spires, 2059 County Road 26, Marengo, Ohio.
I do. Jim Havlin, Executive Director of Flats Ford, 1010 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44115.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Chair.
Okay, history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the underlying zoning since 1929, but in December of last year, it was placed in the urban form overlay district. For this range of addresses, we found in our records administration office that in 1934, there were alterations to a 1-story building noted as Carter Wood. Let's see, there is also some more. And then in 1953, there were repairs due to tornado damage to a manufacturing plant. There were, again, repairs later in that year in 1953. Fire doors were installed in 1963. And then, Madam Chair, I think that's all that is relevant at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess you can go ahead and read the legal standard as well.
If Mr. Rollins can flip to the next, thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the parking regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting of the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Madam Chair, there is one issue that has come up due to a neighbor contacting our office.
Yes.
There is some concern about the site plan showing that the appellant is proposing parking on Winter Street. And it seems that the appellant would need an access easement agreement with the Eckes Towing. If the appellant could speak to that right away, our GIS shows that Winter Street has been vacated. The neighbor has verified and given us an ordinance number showing that Winter Street has been vacated. Just wanted to let you know that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead. Who's, Melissa, are you the spokesperson?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, can you speak to Winter Street, please?
Yes, we were aware that it was vacated. We were under the impression that there was an access easement though. So our site plan is based on having access back there. However, we do still not meet the parking, even with, we put as much parking back there as we could. We were only able to get 5 spaces. The zoning code requires 17. So we need a variance for that anyways, or if we do not have access to that, I guess we would need a variance for all of our parking because there is no other place on our site to put parking. The building is pretty much lot line to lot line except for there at Winter Street. So I was hoping that I could go ahead and present to you guys and get your feedback on what we were asking for, even if we're not, comfortable doing any kind of approval today.
Okay, I don't know about that. Liz, oh, who's that? Maurice?
Yeah, this is Maurice, Madam Chair. Mr. Eckes has his hand raised, but I would point out that he was not sworn in.
Okay, I'm happy to swear him in. Do you swear or affirm? Hello? Do you swear or
He's here.
that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address.
Wayne Eckes, I do, and 1690 Columbus Road and 1700 Columbus Road.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Eckes. You wanted to chime in on this?
Well, I want to know how he's going to get the cars behind the building with a helicopter, because we own the property, except for a section by his building.
Okay, that's
On
what
Winter
we were trying to get straight here about Winter Street. Exactly.
It's Winter Street. If you go back to this section on the bottom,
Go back to the site plan, the aerial, please.
the first part of what you see there
Thanks.
from Columbus, I own all that. And then I own half behind his building, and then Precision Straightening myself on the other beginning of that alley.
So you're landlocked on both sides.
So he has no access back there.
Okay.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, this is Liz. If the appellant is saying that they are now requesting a variance to have 0 parking spaces, we would have to repost that. The neighbors were notified that there would be at least 5 spaces proposed. And if the appellant is now asking for 0, then we would need to repost that.
That's it.
Yeah, I believe either way, this is gonna have to be postponed. So either be postponed by the appellant because you want to then come before us for 0 spaces, or it's gonna be postponed by me because the whole ownership of Winter Street and where things are needs to be clear before we can make any decision here. So
I understand that. This came up late last week, so we were trying to deal with that as well, but we thought maybe, we could at least get your your thoughts on it and see if that would even be possible to do the 0 parking, or if we want to hold the whole thing. That's completely up to you guys.
yeah, we've totally had people come before us for 0 parking, so that's not irregular at all. So it's just on you how you want to package it. If you want to come back for that, or if you want to work out the land situation and then have the parking there. So
We actually provided Liz with the map with all the ordinances end.
I'm
We
fine.
dropped it off
You're
this
not-
week.
You're not.
Yeah,
swearing.
no, we got you. We just need to postpone this so everything can get clear. So, Melissa, I'll postpone it for that reasons. And then you guys can go back to the drawing board and decide how you want to come back to us.
All right, that sounds
So, Liz, can we get a date like in October, probably our second meeting?
Sure. That would be October 3rd is the first week. October 10th, I can't remember if we were off that week or not. How about October 17th?
Okay, yeah, that's safe.
And Madam Chair, to Mr. Eckes, the proposal here is that the appellant bring back proof that there is an access easement agreement, or she brings back a site plan showing 0 parking on Winter Street. And then there would be no concern about the access easement agreement. If the appellant can tell us which she is proposing to go forward with, we would need, of course, to see a new plan showing 0 parking if that's what she chooses. And then I would also need to repost it. So we do need to know what the appellant is proposing. Unless she could prove that there is some sort of access easement agreement, we would need to see a new plan showing 0 parking.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, so make sure you get back to Ms. Kukla with that information.
yes, absolutely.
All right.
There's one more thing too. If you go to the front of the building, picture the front of the building.
Well, Mr. Eckes, we're postponing this, so we don't need to hear any more testimony.
This picture right here.
Yeah, we're gonna postpone this case so you guys can work this stuff out, okay?
Okay. Well, anyway, when they showed a picture that last part of the building is my building.
Okay,
Hey,
all right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to case 22146.
oh,
All
never
right.
built it.
Oh,
We
look at our
have-
sign. Look at that, Maurice.
Calendar number 22-146. This is at 1242 West 65th Street. Jason Nahez. Oh, I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. Nahez or Nahez? Nez?
Nihez. Thank you. That's
Nihez,
okay. Yeah,
thank you.
no
Jason
worries.
Nihez proposes to install front yard deck and front yard wood fence 3 foot 4 inches high in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as outlined in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. I don't know if you guys can see me. Wesley, November, 509 East 185th Street, in Euclid, Ohio.
Thank you.
I do. Jason Nihez, 1242 West 65th Street, Cleveland, Ohio.
Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2003, it was changed to the current zoning. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1923, a permit was issued to repair a dwelling on the site. 1924, a permit was issued to erect a garage. 1925, a permit was issued to relocate the dwelling. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Other than that, in November of last year, a violation notice was issued for the porch.
All right. Legal standard, please.
Oh, thank you. To obtain the area variances, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting of the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who will be the spokesperson for this case?
I will be the owner, Jason.
Okay, Jason, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Yes, we hired a contractor to do the job and trusted he was in compliance, and he's in attendance today, Wesley. We're longtime members of this community and have invested both personally and professionally. My wife's owned a business in this area, and so we want to be good residents and neighbors, and protect our family. We thought and think we're making a positive improvement and investment in the home. We're requesting these 3 variants to protect our neighbors from our dogs and also our family from sort of the heavy traffic and dogs that come through here. We were inspired by other horizontal fences in the neighborhood. So as far as the openness variances, we think it's not without precedent. As far as the height considered in the first variance, we don't believe it's substantially higher than the fence that was there before. And then the height in the last variance seems to also be without neighborhood precedent. There's not any that are as low as I think it's calling for. And then finally, I believe it's the second one where the porch projection, it was built on top of what was previously erected. And so again, I don't think we're asking for something substantially different than what was there before. And so we believe this new fence increases safety for our family, as well as kind of the aesthetic and economic value of the neighborhood. We have the support of our closest neighbors in written form, as you can see, as well as a council person. And so we're hoping that the board grants these variance requests today. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is already existing condition. So this fence has already been put up.
Correct, yes.
So what we're seeing on the pic is what is actually there right now.
Correct.
All right. Maurice?
Yeah, Madam Chair, city planning, first of all, it's unfortunate that this was erected without a permit. We seem to get a lot of those. We just cannot be supportive of these variances. I don't want to set a precedent where we have people building porches right up to the sidewalk like this one is done. It's completely against, the code. We've never approved something like this before. And just because it's constructed, I don't feel that's a reason to approve this variance. I'm not saying it's an ugly porch. I just don't think it's necessary. And we just cannot support this variance.
So is it just the whole front yard piece, or, I mean, are you just opposed to all of it or some of it, or?
Well, it's kind of hard to take away part. I guess you could keep the gate area and configure it differently, but this whole piece where my cursor is, I mean, that's completely inappropriate. And I don't want to set that precedent on this street or any other street in the city of Cleveland.
Correct. All right, board members, you got questions?
Madam Chair, I do. I mean, unfortunately, it's all done. But I like the questioning that you just started about are there ways to modify anything? I understand from Mr. Nihas the issues of, traffic on the street, wanting privacy, and keeping his dogs in and, safety. But it seems to me that since there are only 3 of us here, if there could be a conversation between the property owner and city planning, that maybe there's something, and if there's not, at least the effort is worth having versus us being forced to make a decision without, all consideration.
Madam Chair, we would be happy to meet with the applicant at a later point. I would like to point out that there is a backyard as well on this property. I do see a trellis in the backyard, so they do have a usable backyard. So I think there's plenty of room, and I believe the rear is fenced as well, so I think there's plenty of room for animals or safety for children. But we'd be more than happy to meet with the applicant.
Jason, are you amenable to that, or do you want a decision today?
No, I'm very amenable to that because I'd like to have the discussion. We'd like to have a fence, up there. There was a fence before, and so I'd like to be able to work with city planning to see if there's anything we could do with sort of the existing structure, but taking away the portions that are opposed. So yes, amenable.
And I guess,
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, I also wanted to point out that, the fence in the front that's on the deck is even taller than 4 feet because it's elevated because of the deck.
And Madam Chair, this is Liz, just for the record and for your edification, there is a letter that was submitted by the Councilwoman Jenny Spencer in support. She stated that the appellants are longtime community stakeholders and they're committed to raising their family here. And then we have 3 letters of support, one from Kevin C. Gilfeather at 1235 West 65th Street, one from Andrea Thoreau at 1226 West 65th Street. And, I apologize. We just have those 2, I believe. Just for the record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, I'm kind of inclined to go with Ms. Brown here. I think maybe you guys can work with him. I agree that probably the front where the it could be just a fence there, but it's also a deck, so that's like elevating it and making it like an extra porch. So maybe you can work through that piece right there. I think that's the part that's probably have city planning a little uncomfortable with that. So
Madam Chair, can I say one additional thing? I just got a chat from Allison Henney. She's the architect with the City Planning Commission, actually a new employee. And she made the suggestion that we have the applicant come before the Housing Design Review Subcommittee, which I think is a great idea. It has numerous planners, including Adam Davenport, who's the neighborhood planner for this area, and see if we can work something out that way.
All right. Does anyone know when that next meeting is? I don't want to put him back on the calendar.
We meet every 2 weeks. We usually meet every 2 weeks, the off week from when Planning Commission is not meeting. So I don't have a calendar in front of me, but maybe it might be as soon as next Tuesday. We meet on Tuesdays.
Okay. All right, Liz. So can we slide him on like what's the September 26th looking like?
We could squeeze him in since we've already had testimony.
Yeah, okay.
October 26th. I'm sorry, September 26th.
September 26th.
Don't go too fast. Hey, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, may I say something, Madam Chair?
Sure.
I want to thank you for supporting my suggestion, and I just want to say to both City Planning and Mr. Nehas that I think the conversation, and hopefully there's a good solution, but if there is not agreement, sir, you still get to come back and make your case to us.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not forcing a solution, but I'm asking for a conversation to have the best outcome possible.
I appreciate that clarification. This is new to me, so that is helpful. Thank you.
All right. So hopefully you guys can work something out. If not, we'll see you back here on September 26th. All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Under number 22-153 at 1854 West 48th Street. West 48 Suites LLC owner proposes to construct a 1,140 square foot garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as outlined in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Charlie Butts, 4514 Franklin Boulevard, Cleveland, Ohio, 44102.
And I do. Steve Mazzoni, 3601 Clark Avenue, Cleveland, 44109.
Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. The most pertinent information, though, Madam Chair, is that in calendar number 20-98, this board granted a variance for this identical plan, and it has expired at this time.
What was
I
that?
apologize.
What was that old case number again? I didn't realize that.
20-98.
Okay. I was here for it. Okay. Is that all for the history?
Yes, Madam Chair, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The appellant is requesting an area variance from the garage regulations of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of
Get out of the camera light out.
and that granting of the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you. All right, so we have for the record that we did grant this. Ms. Kukla, is it the exact same application as we granted on 20-098?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is my interpretation. If we could just have the appellant confirm that on the record.
Okay, who will be the spokesperson for this case?
I guess I can, and I do affirm that it is the same.
And who's speaking?
Charlie Butts.
Okay, Mr. Butts. All right. All right, so just just explain this briefly what it is. Considering I think I'm the only one left from who granted it and from the last case. So just give a quick synopsis for the new members.
We are greening this building, so we've gotten a permit for $170,000 of improvements. And so concomitant with that is building a new deck on the rear and the requested 6-bay garage. It will be on the alley. It won't, of course, be visible from West 48th or West 50th. And it will provide good parking for this upgraded building.
All right, thank
Madam Chair, may I ask, how many units are in this building? And it's a beautiful building.
4.
4 units.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When we originally fixed it up, it was abandoned, and I don't know if it was violated, but it was abandoned, and we've restored it and had it as a rental for several years now. And now we're doing this upgrade.
All right, thank you. Stephen, is there anything you want to add to this?
No, I think Charlie did a pretty good job of explaining everything.
All right, thank you. All right, if no further questions from the board, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, just wanted to point out, we do have one letter of opposition.
Oh, is that what's up here?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, Mr. Butts, please take note of this, a very long list of opposition points here that you need to look at and consider for, I don't know if these are your direct neighbors because they don't put an address here.
I think we are aware of that, and
Okay.
in terms of we're going to make extensive exterior repairs and painting as part of this whole renovation. We're keen to satisfy our neighbors there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would note that, most of the things on here are simply building maintenance issues.
Yes.
I do have the question, I just wanted to ask the question of why, if there's 4 units, why we're going with 6 parking spaces in the garage?
So many people have 2 cars.
Okay, good answer.
Mr. Butts, when do you plan to begin the repairs? As you talked about, you're planning to do a comprehensive. When will?
We have the building permit, and it just as soon as, well, we're beginning immediately with the repairs on the building, and we hope this garage can start just as soon as we have both approval and we can schedule Steve's contract.
And even though we approved this previously, I neglected to ask city planning stance, Maurice, but so
Yeah,
just for the record, go ahead and put that on there.
We are again supportive. I assume we were supportive last time. I was not on the Board of Zoning Appeals back then, working with you guys. I did want to point out the one, point number 2, he talks about the 18 inches, that it does meet code. And I will point out that I verify that, yes, the 18 inches from the property line does meet code for a garage. And that does exist all over the city where you have oftentimes 2 garages adjacent to each other on neighboring parcels, and they're both 18 inches off the property line. So it's a condition that does happen all of the time, and it does meet code. So we are in full support of the requested variances. Again.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Any other questions from the board? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval for calendar number 22-153. Having heard testimony and support from city planning, I recommend approval of construction of the 6-bay garage and acknowledge a similar request that was approved as case 20-98, also approved but expired.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Holzer with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar number 22-153 is granted. It'll be ratified on September 12th when we meet again, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last case.
Okay, so our last case is calendar number 22-053. This is at 1807 Auburn Avenue. Guardian City Investments owner proposes to change use of existing 2-family residence to a 2-story 3-family residence in a C1 multifamily residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as detailed in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. This case was first postponed at the request of the councilman for further review. A second postponement was made at the request of the appellant. The case was then dismissed on July 25th due to an unexplained absence on behalf of the appellant. However, it is being reinstated on today, August 29th, because said absence was due to a death in the appellant's family. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address. Donna, you're on mute. Okay.
I do. Donna Gregonis with Tremont West Development Corporation, 2406 Professor Avenue.
Is there someone here from Guardian City Investments?
It doesn't look like it, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Liz, okay.
We're all accounted for right here on this list, unless the second one on the list, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't see anyone else actually.
There's Abdinor. I don't know. I don't want to mispronounce that name, but the second person on the list, I don't recognize.
And please note that if you need to unmute yourself, it's *6 if you're on the phone.
One's on the phone. Okay. Going once. Going twice. All right, dismissed without objection, board.
Without objection.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us today, Donna. We always love to see you.
Thanks. Nice to see you guys too. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Wait, may I ask a question, Donna? Do you know if they've already made these improvements? Are they using it as a three unit?
So let me ask, it's my understanding that they might be, but I know that we are not in support of this, and neither is the community or the council person for this one.
Yeah. I only ask because, we've been through this a while and they've come back. And so maybe Liz should just turn this over to Building and Housing.
Madam Chair, I think that's a good idea. And the city planning agrees with Donna and the council person and the community. They're without giving a lot of testimony, there just is no parking. And if you look at my slide, you'll see what happens.
Yeah, I remember this case from before, so
we just can't
remember all the,
yeah.
And just to add that, we are afraid of setting precedent for more like this, because it does seem like a lot of out-of-town investors keep pushing this type of, variance.
Yep, I agree. So, but unless it's, enforced through Building and Housing, then it'll just be there. All right. Thank you for allowing me to say that, Madam Chair.
All right, no problem. All right, old business.
Hold on a minute, I got to bring up a different slide. It came in a little bit late today. There we go.
All right, old business 1 through 4 and 11 without objection.
No objection.
Without objection.
All righty. We are done for today. We're concluded. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Extended weekend.
Oh, it's a holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday. So, yeah, so have a good 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time off.
Bye.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.